once, it's worth doing twice. Let's do it again.
Well, I'm going downtown, I'm gonna buy me a sack of flour, I'm gonna cook it every hour, keep my skillet good and greasy all the time, time. Skillet good and greasy all the time.
Hey Jenny, what's cooking?
Not much. What's cooking with you, John?
We are back. We are back on the air right here on What's Cooking Now. It's come to you from the Heinemann Settlement School at the we are where food is love and love is delicious.
On the banks of the less troubling, troublesome creek.
The less troubling, troublesome creek. It is being less troubling. We want to give a big shout out to all the folks out there who've been affected by the floods, all the people who've been here to help, everybody who's been out there working right here in the folks right here in the Heinemann Settlement School. They had a rough time, and we're glad to be back. We're glad to be here and be back on it. And you know, Jenny, what I've heard it said, that when the tailgate drops, the BS stops.
I think that's true, Jonathan. You know, I am not really a sports lover, and it just so happens that last year my daughter became a cheerleader, which surprised everyone that knew me and nobody that knew her. And so we started going to these Friday night football games, and there was a whole tailgate scene, and I really wasn't sure, like, what the ethics of it were. You know, was I supposed to bring something? Is it, you know, can I bop from tailgate to tailgate to tailgate and eat things? Turns out that's what I did, whether I'm supposed to or not. But it's fun to get together in the great outdoors, drop the tailgate, have some good food, have some delicious company, maybe a few drinks, and that's what we're all about today.
And that's true if you're tailgating at a football game, at soccer practice, maybe you're going to the Breeders' Cup this weekend, and you're tailgating there. I assume they let you tailgate at the Breeders' Cup. I don't know, but I think, you know, it's all about the food. It's all about getting that food out there. So today we're going to bring you some tailgate classics. I'm going to bring you a variation on an old favorite, and also a Kentucky favorite that I think you can't tailgate in this state without, and also a nice drink to get things going. Probably there is a law. So, well, I guess I'll get started. Let's now, Jenny, the tag for this show said, you know, tailgating. It's more than just wings.
And it is more than just wings.
But you know what it also is?
Legs.
It can also be wings, but it can also be legs in this case. Now, why am I using chicken legs here? Well, that's because they were out of chicken wings at Food City. So what I have here is just some regular old chicken legs. Toss those in some olive oil, and I'm gonna add a little bit of kosher salt.
You know, I love wings and legs because obviously I never met a cartilage I didn't love, and I love dark meat.
Yeah.
Insert your own dirty joke here.
Dark meat is
and
the
I
only...
just, you know, I don't like commercial breast meat because it's always kind of powdery and dry.
Yeah.
And I think things like legs and wings really grill up nice and cook up nice, and they're very forgiving. You know,
yeah.
You can kind of cook them a little longer.
The thigh is by far our favorite cut at home. We eat a lot of chicken thighs, both boneless and bone in.
So you're just sprinkling.
So I'm sprinkling these with a little cornstarch.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I want these to crisp up a little bit, and in the oven, and the cornstarch will help that happen just a touch.
So sometimes I know in Chinese cooking, that's a technique called velveting.
Velveting, yes.
Sometimes
this is a little bit of velveting. You know, you're not quite. You know, usually with velveting, you're going to let it sit in there for a little while, and then you're going to cook it in a very hot wok or something like that.
I didn't know that cornstarch would help crisp things.
It will help crisp it up a little bit, help absorb a little bit of that moisture. So I'm just going to put these on a sheet pan. And I've not done much to these, just very, very simple.
Yeah,
salt, pepper, and then because we're going to flavor them up later, and that's gonna and we're going to do something with these that is, I think, beautiful and unexpected. So putting these in the oven at about 400. You open that up for me. 400 or so
We're
will do.
missing the beautiful and talented Tamara.
Yes,
Sapp.
the beautiful and talented Tamara Sapp
She
is on.
usually opens things, so I'm going
Usually
to try
opens
real
things and-
hard to fill in for her.
It works. By the way, Tamara is working on her gingerbread house for the National Gingerbread Competition. So if you happen to be in Asheville, North Carolina, sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or Thanksgiving and New Year's, you can go to the Grove Park Inn and see all the gingerbread houses, and you can look out for one by Tamara Sapp.
And she's amazingly talented.
And so it's going to be pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So Jenny, what do you got going on?
So I love all my friends, and I try whenever I'm doing anything to have at least an option for my vegetarian friends, if not my vegan friends and my gluten-free friends, who also matter to me deeply, but it's just harder to cook for them, right? But I do like to have a vegetarian option. And several years ago, probably more than several now that I'm thinking about it, I was at a meeting over at Apple Shop with the beautiful and talented Ada Smith, and they were serving pulled pork barbecue sandwiches. And as the vegetarian option, Ada served, she just took sweet potatoes and grated them and then just put them in barbecue sauce. And we ate those on buns, and it was amazingly tasty. So that's what I've got going on. So I've got some white and some orange sweet potatoes that I got at the Perry County Farmers Market. So these were locally grown, and I've just grated them up, and I'm just going to really simply saute them a little bit over here. And then I've got a barbecue sauce that I made out of gochujang and tomato paste and a little cider vinegar, some sorghum, and that's really about it, I think. Some ginger. There's ginger and garlic in it. You could easily just buy it. There's so many good barbecue sauces on the market.
But it's also extremely easy to make them.
It's extremely easy to make them, and that's kind of how we roll. So this
Yeah.
is a little spicy. So I'm just going to take this over here and saute this, and then once it's done, and it's not going to get very done. So I want to be careful because I don't want this to cook down into a mush, right? I want it to retain some of its integrity as shreds. So I'm just putting a little bit of oil in this pan, and I've got it on pretty high heat. I want to maybe try and get just a little bit of browning on there, not much. And then I'm just going to dump the barbecue sauce on it and let it cook a little bit more. And this is going to get piled onto buns, and I made buns, and I made Japanese milk bread buns. So if you've ever done this before, it involves a technique where you take milk and flour and water, and you cook it on the stove to make a paste. So you can Google the recipe for this. And you just cook it a little bit on the stove until it thickens, and then you add that into an enriched bread dough. So it's got eggs and milk and butter. And it creates, I think, a really good bun for sandwiches. You can make it into a loaf and use it for sandwich bread. And that's what I'm going to use on this. And I'm also going to make a little coleslaw to go on that in just a minute. So what else you got going on there,
Have you
Jonathan?
salted these potatoes at all?
I didn't at all.
Okay.
Should I?
I think no, I don't think so. I think the problem with salting those now is that that's going to pull a lot of moisture out of
Right.
it.
And I want
then
it
they're
to
not
be-
gonna,
yeah.
And they're not going to brown very well.
I don't even want them to brown that much.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And then I really want them to soak up that barbecue.
Yeah.
sauce.
So if you can. So whenever you put potatoes in a pan like this, you really want to dry them as much as you can. Try to get, a lot of times what you can do is wrap them up in a paper towel.
Well,
or
and
in
these
some
sweet
sort of towel.
potatoes were pretty dry.
Yeah,
already,
sweet
so-
potatoes usually are going to be a little bit
And
less
these
dry
are,
to
like
start
I said, locally grown, and I think they've cured. I've
Yeah.
had them for a little while.
So they've cured for a while.
So they've cured for a while, and they're not too wet, which is good
Yeah,
for
and-
what we want here.
with. And moisture doesn't come out of sweet potatoes quite as easily as it does regular potatoes. So that's going to look good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. So what else you got going on?
Well, now my second dish over here is, we've got a dish that I don't think you can do tailgating in Kentucky without one really important dish, and that dish is,
Bourbon?
well, yes, I mean bourbon is a food group around here, but what I'm talking about here is beer cheese.
Oh, I love beer cheese, and I love all the beer cheese.
Now, beer cheese is, I didn't even realize beer cheese was a Kentucky thing until I went off and lived in North Carolina for a few years. And it was Derby Day, so naturally I was, homesick for what we usually had at the Derby, and for the Derby, and it turned out I couldn't find any beer cheese. I found things that were like pub cheese, but it's just not the same. This is a very purely Kentucky thing, and in fact, it's very localized to Winchester, Kentucky, to Clark County. Back in the 30s and 40s, there was a Johnny Allman, who had a place called the Driftwood Inn. That is the original. It's where this came from. His brother Joe was a chef out in Arizona, in Phoenix, And but he was looking for a signature dish there for his place, and he wanted something that was kind of spicy and kind of encouraged people to drink more beer. So his brother made up this this dish, which, if you think about Kentucky dishes, this is not, these aren't a lot of Kentucky-ish flavors, because you've got a very sharp garlic, you've got a very you've got cayenne pepper. These are not things you see in a lot of real Kentucky things. So that's so I think this is sort of a little bit of Arizona come to Kentucky.
You know, our good friend Laura Gregory, who has Full Circle.
Yes.
Full Circle Market in Winchester, wins the beer cheese
She
competition.
does.
I think
She
every
wins
year,
it.
and it's amazing.
And she's actually just posted
bet
up
yours is
something.
better.
She's actually just posted up something she calls feta wiesen.
I saw that, and I want some.
Which is a feta cheese based version of this. So I'm going to start out with. So I'm going over here to my food processor, and I've got cheddar. This is just about a pound of just a good sharp cheddar that I'm going to go in here with, and. Now, when you buy beer cheese, and there's nothing wrong, I'll just say, with buying beer cheese. It's most of the beer cheese we consume is bought from other places. A lot of times they'll use a processed cheese, and it gives you a much smoother product. It gives you a very smooth product. This is going to be a little bit rougher. It's going to be a little bit grainier, and that's fine too. I've added about 3 cloves of garlic to that. Yeah, that's kind of a lot for this, but I think that sharp garlic flavor is a big component of this.
You can never have too much garlic.
No. I've also got about half an onion that I'm going to throw in there. I've got some cayenne pepper, and you can use a little or a lot, because this ranges from hot to not. I'm going to add some dry mustard. I think this is a key component, and somehow dry mustard, somehow it has to be dry mustard. I don't know why. I don't make the rules, but the dry mustard seems to be.
Well, I think it's less vinegary than prepared.
Yeah, I think
right?
it just doesn't. Yeah, because vinegar is not really a note here that you really need all that much of. So I'm going to add some of the dry mustard. A fair bit of that. And I'm eyeballing this. I'm sure I could write you up a recipe if I wanted to. I've got Worcestershire sauce, and the one I've got here is the Bourbon Barrel Foods Worcestershire sauce from our friend Matt,
Big
Jamie,
fan
and
of the Bourbon Barrel products.
yes, their Worcestershire is my go-to in Bloody Marys. It's really with a steak or with any. This is just, I go through a lot of this stuff. So got quite a bit of that, because again, that's one of the big flavors here. And then I'm going to add some horseradish, just regular old prepared horseradish. Nice big scoop of that. You don't always see horseradish in beer cheese, but in mine you do. And then, of course, it's not beer cheese without beer. And as far as what kind of beer, really about anything I think works. Traditionally it's just a usual American lager. I actually think pumpkin beers work really well in this. What I'm using here is a New Belgium pumpkin with a little spice to it. So this is a pretty great beer on its own. Now I'm going to add about half the can.
Can I taste the other
Yes,
cup?
please.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and I'm a big fan of pumpkin beers anyway.
Well, I think it's fall. I think
It's
you
fall.
have
I
to
think this
eat
is
pumpkin
a
stuff.
fall thing. But you can use a stout. You can use a. I wouldn't use a sour. I don't think I would use a sour beer. I don't think that would be quite right. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and then I'm going to whir this up.
Oh, it's awesome so far.
So let's see how this goes on here. Yeah, maybe. And then, well, is it gonna? Am I plugged in there?
You're plugged in.
Well,
Are you on?
am I locked and loaded? I don't know. Well, we'll figure this out.
Does that not have to go around the back?
Maybe.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
This is why we miss Tamara.
Yeah.
All right.
She's usually got this figured out by the time we.
I don't think you have any of this on right, because this. Okay. Hold on here. How did you even get this on here?
It was already on there.
Oh, it's not on there right. Well, it should be okay. Because this needs to go,
There and do that thing.
but maybe it needs to go.
Technical live cooking show, y'all.
So my food processor, I hate equipment. And my food processor I got for $4. It's like one of the original food processors they ever made. I think this is going to have to come off before you can do this.
I'll fight with this.
And the like plastic parts have broken off of it. And so to make it work, I have to take a knife and press on this thing. Turn it.
Well, I don't
Other
think
way.
Well,
This is what we get.
Unplug
from
it and let me
having-
fool with this, and then you can
Okay.
go on with your.
So what
your
I'm
next
doing
thing.
now, while we fool with this, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the slaw for my little sliders. And like I said, I made a Japanese milk bread, and the barbecue sauce that I made has some Japanese elements. And so I am going to try to give a little different flavor to the slaw as well. So I'm just slicing up my cabbage pretty thin, and I'm going to make a dressing for this out of sriracha and mayonnaise. So you can buy sriracha mayonnaise, but I mean, I feel like it's kind of like Uncrustables. Like, how hard is it to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? How hard is it to mix sriracha into mayonnaise? Do you really need to buy a whole separate product for that? I think not. So I'm keeping this super simple. I'm just gonna not even put very much seasoning in it besides the sriracha. And I'm gonna just mix that up in my bowl and then toss my cabbage and my carrots and a little bit of red onion in it, a little bit of salt, and that's gonna be it. And that's gonna go on my Japanese milk bread for my sliders in a way that I hope will be delicious.
It sounds, and those sliders are gorgeous. The little slider buns I've looked at over here are,
Thank you.
are just beautiful. So
hope
I'm
so.
finally plugged in over here, and oh, there we go. Well, it appears to be.
Oh, we didn't put the.
Didn't put the
probably
blade
need
back.
this.
Yeah, that might help.
So, what's your favorite tailgate experience ever, Jonathan? Do have
You know,
one?
I have done some tailgating at Keeneland, which is always great because I mean Keeneland happens in April and October in Lexington, and it's so it's always during the beautiful time, the most beautiful times.
I pretty much refuse to leave Kentucky during April.
Yeah, during those months, and so that's probably been some of my favorite experiences tailgating there. A lot of times we'll go for my birthday, which is in October, and then we'll have we'll end up putting out. In the past, we've done this. We'll just put out a whole bunch of food and things like that, and just hang out. And it's just I think, and that's one thing I like about it is the tailgating. I think of the fall, and fall is just a great time to be outside. And I think this year has been a particularly gorgeous fall.
It really has.
All right. So I'm running that up, and that's a little thinner than I would usually want a beer cheese to be, but it's going to set up in the fridge some.
Silver tasting spoon. Oh, that's good though.
Anything it needs?
I mean, I would never tell Picasso what color to use, and I would never tell you a spice to put in a food.
Yeah, I can live with that.
It's really good.
Good stuff. I'm going to blend it up a little more since I think it's still
Okay.
a little loose, but it will set up as it sits in the fridge. So. So you're adding some red onion to your slaw there.
I am, because I think it's pretty, primarily, and because I like the flavor of it, secondarily. I don't know, maybe it's the other way around. Flavor first, look second.
Either
That's what
way,
I
and
say
if you
about
think
my men.
And if you think red onions are a little too sharp, some people do, you can always soak them in a little lime juice before you.
I like
What do
the
you think?
sharpness though, and especially
too.
with this particular dish, because the sweet potatoes and the sauce is really sweet that I made. It's really sweet, and the bread's kind of sweet. So milk bread traditionally has sugar in it. I used sorghum because I think anytime you can switch out sorghum for sugar, you should.
You should. So I am evacuating this to a bowl where I've already
Look
laid
how
out.
beautiful this is.
I've already laid out all the traditional dippers, which are we have our crudités, we have our
that's good.
our pretzels, but then we have the ultimate vessel for
Celery.
this is the saltine cracker.
Oh, not the celery.
Celery,
I think celery is the great unsung vegetable, as you know.
It can be. I
Whether it's
miss it
raw
with
or cooked.
I really miss it with buffalo wings. When I have buffalo wings, I almost have to have celery alongside. So that is a plate you could be proud of, and you saw how long that took me.
That is absolutely gorgeous.
I had this all laid out in about 10 minutes. So
I mean, look at this. That is simply beautiful.
All
I mean,
right.
Look at that.
Well, it's about time for a break. So we are What's Cooking Now, coming to you from the Heinemann Settlement School. I want to thank our tasting panel. We've got a distinguished tasting panel that has shown up here tonight, so we'll get them in on the game here in a little bit. And when we come back, I'm getting a little bit thirsty. How about you?
I am. You know, I'm always thirsty, so
We'll be right back.
don't go away.
Hazard Coffee Company is the sole specialty coffee shop in Perry County. Focusing on high-tech, high-quality coffee and espresso, Hazard Coffee Company seeks to cultivate a community environment around coffee. They have a variety of options, including your favorites such as mochas and cold brews, as well as specialties such as the Taxi Alley, always brewed to precise perfection. Stop by their shop located on Main Street in downtown Hazard, or order online for delivery with DoorDash or at hazardcoffeecompany.com. The Red Spotted Newt is a locally owned independent bookstore located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky, specializing in Appalachian literature from authors such as Silas House, Gurney Norman, and Annette Clapsaddle, among many others. The Newt also offers a full collection of art and gifts, including Little Bubby Child prints and these sweet cards inspired by The Office. Check out their store located at 221 Memorial Drive in Hazard, or shop online through bookshop.org. And be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Red Spotted Newt.
All right.
That was really awesome that on that break we saw an advertisement for Red Spotted Newt, and guess who's here on our tasting panel?
I know the proprietor.
The Appalachian treasure herself, Mandy
is out there and
Mandy
ready
Shepherd.
to ready to
Ready
come
to
in and taste.
taste.
We've also got Les and Kaylee over here who are going to come in and taste some beer cheese here in a minute and join us. But you're
And
watching.
Amelia Kirby.
We got
and
Amelia
Robert
Kirby.
Guy.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
we could not.
a whole like.
It is like an
scene
all-star. It's like an Appalachian all-stars here today. I don't even know how we got so lucky. But we're back and we're talking tailgate tonight. Foods to get foods for your pregame activity. So I'm getting a little bit thirsty. How about you, Jenny?
I really am.
Well, I'm going to talk about, because when I think about tailgate cocktails, tailgating is not when you want to be shaking up a lot of cocktails. And I'm somebody who will shake a cocktail just about anywhere. But really, when I'm talking about tailgating, I really want something that's going to be fairly easy to make, something I can batch, something that I can make in a big group and just drink out of a plastic cup, and it's going to be delicious. And let's not mince words. One of the other things that we want out of a tailgate cocktail is we want it to be pretty stout. We want to, we're looking to get a little bit turned here for the pregame, because football games are really long and kind of dull.
They really are. They're so long.
I mean, maybe I'm alone in that, but if I'm going to a football game, I'd like to get a few in me beforehand. Is all I'm saying. So what I'm going to make for you today is a rum punch. This is a traditional Jamaican rum punch, and I'm going to give you kind of a formula for making a rum punch. And the great thing about the formula is it rhymes. So there's a formula for making a Jamaican rum punch, and that is 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong, and 4 parts weak.
I love that.
So all you have to do is decide what your part is, and you're going to make 10 of those. My part here is going to be a half cup. So we're going to make about 5 cups of this drink, and so 1 part sour, and my sour here is going to be lime juice. So I've got lime juice, fresh squeezed. Always, never put bottled lime juice in a cocktail.
Who would do that,
Just
Jonathan?
not right. So 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet. Now sweet is can be a syrup of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
What I've got here is some grenadine. Now this is a grenadine that actually has some pomegranate and cherry in it. You can get your roses, which really doesn't. Basically, it's simple
Let me
syrup.
see that one.
This one is a Master of Mixes brand. I make my own sometimes at home.
Get out.
But
Of course you do.
this is which you can do just by cooking pomegranate juice down with some sugar. But I'm adding a cup
So that's
of
all
this.
grenadine usually is pomegranate juice and sugar.
It's usually
think I
sometimes
knew
with
that.
sometimes with a little bit of flavoring.
You know, and I
I'll
was a
usually
Shirley Temple lover from early
I'll
on.
usually add some orange flower water. I'll add a little splash more on that. 3 parts strong. So now we're talking about our liquor. And this is, I'm going with rum. This is a white rum. I think this is a good place for white rum. I think that, and this is not a place for the great stuff. This is a place for a standard white rum. We can, if we're going to party, we got to sip on Bacardi. So let's.
You're just. Is it because all the writers are in the house?
Yeah,
You're
I've got
feeling
to.
so-
Yeah, they're opposed everywhere, so I have to I have to rhyme. So we're doing 1.5 cups of this rum. So that's 3 parts strong and 4 parts weak. And by weak, we mean a weaker juice, weaker citrus juice that's not something like lime juice. And the ideal thing here is pineapple juice. So we're going with 2 cups, 4 parts of pineapple juice.
Look how pretty that is.
And that's one of the reasons I like using the bottled grenadine rather than my own, because if you make your own, it's tastier, but it's not as pretty.
I
as
feel
the
like
stuff
if you were
get.
serving this at a fall tailgate, you would look up at the maples and feel like this was coordinating with fall itself.
Exactly, it is perfect.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to do is mix that up. And then I'm just going to take some plastic
Let me get some ice.
plastic cups. I've got some right here. We'll get some ice. We'll pour a little bit of that. All right. Cheers.
That's really good.
That is perfect, and that's an easy thing to do. It's just an easy, and it's a crowd pleaser because I mean this is sort of a grown-up variation of the stuff we might have made in college in a garbage can before a large party. You know, this is your grown-up hooch. So
It's very good.
So that to me is a great tailgate drink because you could just and remember your parts. You can scale that up all you want and make your part 2 or 3 cups and make a cooler of this stuff.
I love it.
You know, so that makes it easy.
I love it.
So do you have a beverage for us?
I do. I'm going to do something else first, though.
Go for it.
So these are called snack peppers, and these came from Old Home Place Farm. And I love them. I love them raw. I love them in all kinds of stuff. But what I've done here is I've just taken an olive, just a green olive stuffed with pimentos. And my sister felt the need to send me kind of, I thought, a certain kind of Annie message on Facebook and say, I need to make sure you're using the right olives. But don't use black olives. But actually, I think Kalamatas would have been good in this. So, whatever. And then I have a few that have cocktail onions in them because everyone who read or watched Queen's Gambit, I started drinking gimlets. And when I say I started drinking gimlets, I mean I probably have 4 in the 2 years since that was on. And so I have these cocktail onions, but they're really tasty, and I really like them. And what I've really been liking is I don't know if there's a name for this, you probably know, but I've been calling it a gibletini because I like the olives and the cocktail onions because they're both so delicious. And then I've just got some cajito cheese. And I'm just spooning this into the peppers. I have the peppers nestled in rice just to hold them up so that they'll stand upright. And then I'll be able to use this rice later. I can dump it into a soup or a stew or just cook it, maybe put some broth on it and some chicken. So I'm not wasting the rice, but it's going to help the little peppers to sit upright. And then I'm just going to stick them in the oven with Jonathan's chicken wings, and that is going to be, I hope, very delicious. The other thing that I've got going on here is I went ahead and I finished my slaw for the sliders. And like I said, I just mixed a little mayonnaise and sriracha together with that. I salted it a little bit to taste. And then I put some black sesame seeds in it just to make it look pretty. And a little splash of rice wine vinegar to keep it from being too mayonnaise-y. And so I'm going to be ready to build my sliders in just a minute with that.
Just passing our some of our foods down to our
let's get
distinguished
some-
tasting panel.
Let's get some reaction from the distinguished tasting panel.
That's the book blurb. It's really good. Robert Guy, award-winning author.
Wordsmith.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, Robert Gipe, about tailgates, is we can have metaphorical tailgates. Tailgates can be here in Kentucky, any place where 2 or more of us, or maybe even one of us, are gathered together to share good times, good food, and good drink.
Where 4 of us are gathered, there may be a 5th.
That's an Episcopalian joke.
I've heard it.
Kind of like it. All right, so I've just topped this off, like I said, with a little cheese, and I've got the olives and a few of them with the onions, and I'm just going to slide
And you've got
that
some rice in there just to make those stand up, and I like that.
Stand up, yeah.
Yeah.
Just sort of, and because I can use it again later.
Yeah, you can.
Like I could have wadded up foil or something, but
Yeah.
cocktail now.
Go for it.
Are we ready for that? So ideally, I would make this in a cocktail shaker, and I would do the whole Jonathan thing, but I'm ashamed to say I don't have a cocktail shaker. I feel like this is a horrible, horrible thing. So
Anybody
instead,
buying Christmas presents for Jenny?
cocktail shaker. So instead, I'm going to use, in the time-honored way of Appalachian people everywhere, a
A jar.
mason jar. So what I'm making is called an Orchard 75. I had to look it up. And what this is it's something that involves this liqueur called
Pommeau.
Pommeau. And it's, this is made from Calvados, from apple brandy and apple juice. And it also has gin, and I have this beautiful gin that I really, really love from what's
Castle
that
and
place?
Key.
Yeah, Castle and Key, thank you. And I really love this, and it's got gin in it, and then it's got some lemon juice, and then it's going to be topped off with hard cider, courtesy of friend of the show, Les Roll, who let me come over to his house and dig some really good cider out of his refrigerator. And so this is just going to be, can I have one of those cups? Over here,
Yes.
just use this. Do you need this?
Nope.
So I'm just going to shake this a little bit, or probably stir it a little bit, oops, in this glass, and then I'm going to, in this jar, and then I'm going to pour it into glasses. And what it calls for is pretty much equal parts. I'm actually looking at a recipe here, because we all know Jonathan's really the cocktail maker here. So what this really calls for is equal parts lemon juice and gin. And then a few dashes of bitters.
And that's a Peychaud that you're using, or is that Peychaud's bitters?
This is, yes.
Yes.
Which I like a lot, yeah. And then, it's made in Lexington? I had no idea. Get out. Is that true? Really? I did not know that.
The pommeau you're using is also good.
I did know that. And I've got some twists here to use.
Put this on some rocks. And this, of course, is a variation on the French 75, which is gin with lemon juice, which
So
is
I
topped
can't
off.
shake this over my shoulder in the way that I know. You're
Well, you
supposed
know.
to with things that have citrus because it wakes it up. I learned that from the great Jonathan Piercy.
You know.
And I'm not even going to try and strain it much because I don't care if some of the ice gets in there.
It's called pouring loose.
Pouring loose, is that what that's called? Mm-hmm. That's going to be the title of my autobiography. 100%. And then it gets topped with a little cider, and we are using, again, courtesy of the friend of the show, Les Rowe, the Lost Boy cider, Comeback Kid, a dry cider. We'll use a spoon to stir it up here. This is still radio, no one can see me, right?
Exactly.
Wait.
Twist it up.
I learned from my friend Jonathan Piercy that the garnish is often an important part of the... And I just took zest. I used a lemon peeler to just take the zest without the white part off of the lemon. And I'm wiping it around the rim a little to give a little flavor.
Chinton. I like that. Yeah, because it's really, it's light. It's fall. I mean, you've got all the
And
fall
it's not
flavors
too
in there.
sweet.
You've got that. You can get that Peychaud, that kind of herbal note out of it. You get the pommeau, and you get everything. It's.
I like it. I think I'm a fan. I think it's a keeper.
I like it. I like it a lot. Not too sweet. All
Woo!
right.
Okay.
So I guess it's probably time for another break. So we will, this is What's Cooking Now. We're coming to you from the Heinemann Settlement School. Tonight we're talking tailgate foods. And when we come back, we'll finish up these dishes, and we'll pull these chicken legs out and give you one more, and make one more sauce to go with those. And then
And
we'll
I still have a dip I'm going to whip up
she
real
still
super
has a
quick.
dip to make. So we've still got all kinds of stuff going on for you in the last 20 minutes of What's Cooking Now from the Heinemann Settlement School. See you in a minute.
Join the Pick and Bow family at Heinemann Settlement School. For the past 5 years, our Pick and Bow Mountain Music Education Program has provided free music lessons to students interested in learning how to play acoustic instruments. Any 4th through 12th grade students residing in Knott or Floyd County are invited to participate. Students have the option to learn guitar, fiddle, mandolin, banjo, mountain dulcimer, or ukulele. These virtual lessons take place on Zoom. If you have a device with a webcam and an internet connection, you're all set. A limited number of loaner instruments are available from the Hindman Settlement School. Go to hindman.org/calendar to register. See you soon.
The Red Spotted Newt is a locally owned independent bookstore located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky, specializing in Appalachian literature from authors such as Silas House, Gurney Norman, and Annette Clapsaddle, among many others. The Newt also offers a full collection of art and gifts, including Little Bubby Child prints and these sweet cards inspired by The Office. Check out their store located at 221 Memorial Drive in Hazard, or shop online through bookshop.org. And be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Red Spotted Newt. Hazard Coffee Company is the sole specialty coffee shop in Perry County. Focusing on high-tech, high-quality coffee and espresso, Hazard Coffee Company seeks to cultivate a community environment around coffee. They have a variety of options, including your favorites such as mochas and cold brews, as well as specialties such as the Taxi Alley, always brewed to precise perfection. Stop by their shop located on Main Street in downtown Hazard, or order online for delivery with DoorDash or at hazardcoffeecompany.com.
Was their god uncle, and you have yet to teach them that nursery rhyme?
He'll teach it to them soon.
That comes when they're teenage. Yeah, when they're old enough to drink, when they're 13 or so.
So we're back with more fun and hijinks from our elite tasting panel.
Yes.
Truly elite tonight. And I'm just going to whip up, Jonathan made beer cheese, and I'm just going to whip up a whipped feta dip. So this is just feta that I've crumbled in here. You can do this in a food processor if you want a smoother texture, but I kind of like it to be chunky. And I'm just mixing it with some sour cream until it's the texture I want it to be, which is kind of dippable. And then I'm just going to season it up with a little herbes de Provence. You could put whatever you want in this. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder, actually. And I've done this before with roasted garlic, and actually I think it kind of crowds out the feta in a way. And then I've got some salt here that actually has shallots in it. I really love it. I got it at a little spice place in St. Petersburg, and I've really enjoyed using it because it adds a nice flavor. And then I'm just going to put some herbes of Provence in, and like I do with any dried herbs, I'm going to put them in my hand first and sort of crumble them to release the aromatics. You could do this with fresh herbs, and I would if it weren't, November. Taste for salt. You want to be careful with the salt in this because feta is so salty anyway. But I still think it needs a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think the feta is usually pretty salty, so you probably are not gonna underdo it.
And I'm serving this with these beautiful watermelon radishes, which are one of my favorite fall vegetables because look how beautiful that is. That's so pretty. And they're so good. They're really sharp. And then I also have some kohlrabi, which I've sliced up. You, of course, could also steal some of the pretzels and the crackers and the celery and really serve this with anything.
You could.
But I just think it's kind of nice to have something sort of sharp, like these radishes, to offset the often very rich things that we also have when we're tailgating. So I'm just going to pass that down to the elite tasting panel. And I'm going to go ahead, while you talk about your chicken, I'm going to go ahead and put together my little sliders.
All right. Now, so I pulled my my chicken legs out, and I'm going to make a sauce for these. And this is now, if you just want to toss these up in some butter and Frank's Red Hot, except no substitute, and a little bit of honey, I certainly wouldn't object to that. That'd be one of my favorite things. But tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to make these are called peanut wings. A little bit of an Asian flair to them without any particular provenance, but these start with peanut butter, and this is just regular old peanut butter. It's chunky. I almost always use chunky, but I think chunky works better here definitely. And
I love things with peanut butter.
so I'm gonna And I pulled those, my legs out. They're resting over there a little bit. And
Every time you say that, it sounds like vaguely dirty to me.
yeah,
for
my
some
legs
reason.
are
Pull my legs out.
resting just a little. So, so I've got a bunch of peanut butter in there. Now I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to pull my, actually I need the spatula. I'm going to, I think it'll be fine. I'm going to add some soy sauce to this. Some regular old soy sauce. I'm going to add some green onions. I'm going to borrow some of Jenny's sriracha. I was out of sriracha myself, and I couldn't.
How can you be out of sriracha?
That's a good question. I couldn't. There wasn't any at the grocery store. But I'm going to add some sriracha to that. Any sort of hot sauce will do, but I think that's the way I would go. And I've got some lime juice in there also, about the juice of a lime or so.
So wait, I missed this because I was taking my peppers out of the oven. So you've got sriracha,
I've got sriracha,
peanut butter,
lime juice, green onions,
that
and
you've chopped.
And that's about it.
I mean, what more do you need?
So I'm stirring this up in this nice big bowl, just working it up as much as I can. Now I've got my chicken legs over here, and one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the liquid from these legs and I'm going to pour that in there too.
Ooh.
Because this probably needs a little bit of oil, and that is one of my.
Because it's hot, it's going to.
It's hot. It's going to help
right?
that. It's going to help that blend a little bit better. And that is also just one of my favorite tasty substances in the world. Is
me too.
Chicken drippings.
Yes. Any kind of
Schmaltz.
meat drippings.
Any kind of meat drippings is always the best. Chicken just, I don't know, it's just one of my, I always said if I had to pick my last meal, I might just, say, cook a chicken, just roast it really well. And then as far as I'm concerned, you can keep the chicken. Just give me the pan, give me the pan and some lemons and a couple of baguettes. And
so I'm imagining Jonathan on death row having to explain to them what he wants his last meal to be. No, you don't have to feed me the chicken.
I don't need the chicken.
Just the juices from it.
So I'm going to dump my legs in here.
So those are still pretty hot from
Still pretty hot from the oven, so they're gonna dress up better.
And so you could do this with wings. You could do it.
I do this with wings all the time.
I mean, I guess you really
now
could
this
make
sauce.
this sauce and just put it over.
I do this sauce and make it with noodles sometimes, just a good Asian noodle.
Ooh, like a soba
just like a
noodle
udon
maybe?
or a soba noodle or anything like that.
Good. I love a. What are you having religious ecstasy about over there, Les Rowe? Oh,
yeah. So this is.
Peanut sauce
I've done
does
this.
inspire that.
I do this for the Super Bowl every year, and these are always the wings that go first, or the peanut
They're
wings.
usually the wings that are gone by the time I get there.
So I'm going to let Jenny's working on her sliders while I go get a plate for these.
I mean, look at this. This looks amazing. It looks messy, like you're going to have to do some finger licking. But that's what we like, right? Licking nearly anything. That looks gorgeous.
So I'm going to dump these out of the mixing bowl into a serving plate. Leave some sauce for picking at with your finger in a little bit.
Ooh, yeah. Or dragging like excess
Yep. Anything you got.
through
And then I reserved some of my green onions
to sprinkle on
that I'm
top.
going to sprinkle on
I
top.
love that.
And that is peanut chicken legs. And again, how long did that dish take me altogether?
I mean, really, even counting the cooking time, it didn't
Yeah.
take long, but the actual working time was probably
Working time
10
was
minutes.
10 minutes total. But just putting them in the oven and then putting it on that. So those are just gorgeous. I'm going to pass these down
love
to
this.
the panel.
So I think we're ready to make a little tasting plate.
I think we
now,
are.
one of the things that I think is important about tailgate food is that although plates are possible, they should be optional.
They should be optional.
They
You
should be
shouldn't
food that
have
you
to
can
have.
pick up. And I don't think we've made anything here that requires
Truly requires a plate.
that requires a plate or a utensil.
Nope.
It does require you probably to lick your fingers. So, Jonathan, if you'll also just I'll go get some plates though, because, we might want to be fancy. And if you'll just pass down these little sliders for our elite tasting panel,
You finish this up, I'll get some
and then
more
we
plates.
can get some reactions from them. Reaction time. So here are the sliders.
That'll work.
Good.
So in tailgate tradition, we'll use some paper plates here. And
Oh,
See,
wait,
we
we
have-
have something else too. Can I use this?
yes,
So here are my little peppers with olives, and a few have secret Gibson onions in them. If anybody wants to try one of those. And I'm just going to put together like a little whole tailgate plate. What did we used to call that, Les? Like the plate that looked pretty?
there's a beauty
The
plate.
beauty plate. I'm going to put together a beauty plate.
Les was the longtime photographer for us at the old radio version of this show.
Let me knock the rice off of this because it's, not cooked.
Tell you what, enjoy that beauty plate, but don't miss the ugly ball. That chicken is delish.
Right?
And such a simple thing. I mean, that's one of those things that the first time I did it, and it's one of those things I never make it the same way twice. You could add some fish sauce to that. You could add some. You could add a little bit of ginger.
fine.
Sometimes I've just grated a little bit of ginger into it. Add some if you like cilantro. You could add some cilantro. There's infinite variations on that.
Keep your paper towels handy though.
Yeah, exactly. And the
For
grand
sure.
tradition, the grand tradition of such things.
Have you got one back there?
I have a shaker for you.
Paper towel?
Yeah.
I'll get you some.
There's a roll right here.
Lick your fingers, or if you won't do it, somebody else.
Give me off one there.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wait, we're missing something. What are we missing? We need some pretzels and a piece of celery. Oh, no, you did get that. Is that everything?
I think so.
So here we have it. Your tailgate. Hold on just a minute. We're going to come
Tailgate plate.
around.
He's going to be around.
And this is a really pretty plate, which I always think is important. So we've got our peanut chicken legs. Could do that with wings. Could do it on pasta. Could do whatever you wanted. Did anybody taste the vegetarian sliders yet?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I love it. I didn't even know they were vegetarian.
Yeah, it's sweet potatoes.
It's so
Our vegetarian sliders, our olive stuffed peppers, our delicious beer cheese, and our whipped feta with beautiful, beautiful watermelon radishes and some kohlrabi. Has anybody tasted one of the peppers yet?
Not yet.
I'm going to do it.
I'm afraid I'll get one of the onions.
Get the small ones. The onions are all in big ones. True, that one's a onion.
Peppers are hot.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, they've been sitting in that warm rice, so you
Hot
got
like
to.
fire.
But that keeps them warm. That's nice.
Yep.
It's a nice idea to put them in the rice like that.
Yeah. This is delicious.
Yeah, the peppers are a little too hot to taste yet.
I just ate one. They're not that hot.
Anybody have any tailgate tasting memories that they've enjoyed in the past?
I will just say that, Facebook memories are a thing, and I'm glad that I've reached the point in my life where my law school memories on Facebook are not automatically shareable.
Yeah.
I'm
I
going
get
to
it.
eat one of these little sliders.
But it's not traditional tailgating, but I will say that my favorite time to eat food like this is, frankly, Jonathan, when I'm hanging out with you and our friends at the pool.
Yeah, I mean, this could also be pool food. This could be this is definitely Super Bowl food.
Maybe we should call it portable food.
Yeah, this is sort of portable food, but it's just it happens to be in that tailgate genre. But these are all things that could go about anywhere.
It's yummy stuff.
With enough of this punch, you could probably get me anywhere.
And we might try.
We might try it. Well, I think Jenny, I think this has been a successful expose of the tailgate world and
I do
the
too, and I'm
tailgate
really
food world
happy with our tasting panel because you know what our motto is?
is that food is love and love is delicious.
And we've really gotten to love on some people tonight
We
with
have.
some delicious food, which makes us very happy.
We have,
If you're
so-
interested in being part of our tasting panel, hit us up on Facebook. We'll be doing another
Come
show,
on by.
I think, in December.
We will.
Life is uncertain, but
But
Food
if
is always there.
If at all possible, we will be right here, and you should be too. And if not, join us on the internet. And until next time,
food is love.
and love is delicious. Good
Thanks
night, y'all.
for tuning in.
What's Cookin' Now is a production of Hyman Settlement School, with funding provided by the Kentucky Humanities Council. Hyman Settlement School is committed to cultivating and growing the local food system. and the unique culinary and agricultural traditions of Central Appalachia through our foodways programs. For more information on our work, visit us at www.hyman.org and be sure to tune in to What's Cooking Now on the first Thursday of each month to see what's cooking.